Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Viewers, you have been following what is happening in China. Just as foretold, now the students in China are rising, and there are many university campuses where we are seeing a lot of riots going on. Protests, I should say, not riots yet, but it could turn ugly. To understand all about what is happening there, let's invite our guest, Elmer Yuen. Elmer, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Nice meeting you. It's been some time.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Elmer, this protest, you had predicted it, even though people, they gave us a lot of grief saying that Elmer is wrong. We have some pet monkeys who will come and look at any video that you and I talk about, and they'll keep giving, trashing us. That's okay. I'm used to that. Just makes it stronger. And they've been saying that you are so wrong, but now this is happening. There are thousands of videos of protests. Tangsha University, Beijing, Shanghai, you name it. This all happened because of a few deaths, because of zero COVID policy, where the building actually burnt down in Urumqi, I think, in Xinjiang province. I just want you to kind of give a summary of this and then go back and tell our viewers how this is different from what happened in Tiananmen Square in 1989.
I've been watching video almost like 20 hours a day. And there are so many input. I have not really sit down and organized my thoughts of how to say it to you. I know almost everything's going on. And I have contacts calling me all day, all night from Shanghai and Beijing. So I know exactly what's happening, but it's not so easy to start. But let me go back a little bit to the beginning of COVID. When Wuhan leaked the virus, either by accident or by deliberately, somehow it is leaked. It took Xi Jinping almost 3.5 months to really announce to the world and through WHO that it is harmful, all right? And it took a long time because in the beginning, they don't want to admit it's transmittable and it is hardly curable, because in the beginning, the first strain is very, very deadly. So anyway, it all started from this. And before that, China was kind of doing okay, and people are quite happy. Economy is pretty good. Everybody is getting rich. But since then, he was the one who, and then the communist way of treating such matter, because they don't really have a virus, they don't have a vaccine yet. So they've decided to use this lockdown, zero tolerance. So whenever one building, there's a couple of cases, the whole building either is locked down. Actually they welded all the front doors of each apartment, not just the main door, each apartment. All right, and then they would deliver food to them, even either cooked or material to them. So they use this method, and in the beginning, the first 2.5 years, while we had huge problem worldwide, they were doing okay. Their export actually went up during those period because the whole world needs mask and then all kind of medical clothing and so on. So they were doing fine. So because of the so-called success in the first 2 years, he thought he had the solution better than anybody else. The whole world is screaming and losing money and dying. He was doing okay. China was doing okay. So he think he must have the best solution. And the whole world is wrong, and he was right. And this is the beginning of his downfall. This is really the beginning of his downfall. He believes the whole world, oh, you guys are foolish. We have a way, when we order something, it gets done. And then, because the spread was very small in China, so it was controllable by separating or quarantine and so on. They have no vaccine. Their vaccine doesn't work. And you want to save money. Can you imagine if the imported vaccine would cost, let's say, $10 a shot? You have 1.4 billion people doing 3 to 4 shots. It would bankrupt the country. And the Chinese vaccine does not work at all. So this kind of separation satisfied the condition in China. And he credited himself saying this, he has the best solution in the world, better than any of these. And because you remember, Trump was also working on the vaccine. But that's not the point. the point, he's very, very insistent. He has the right solution, and he wants to insist doing this. And this is really the basic problem. So finally, when this when this virus traveled the world and came back to China in the form of Omicron, and now of course it's called what, B5. All right, still changing. The transmissibility, the ability to spread is so fast. All right, yet the sickness is not so serious, but the spreadability is so fast. Transmission is so fast that his way does not work anymore, right? Because we in Hong Kong, we understand. Hong Kong, we have 7,000 cases a day. And we've been going through this for the last 2-3 years. Since I left Hong Kong, it's been COVID. 2-3 years, every day, 7,000 cases. And it's going up and down, not really coming down at all. So what's happening in China, if you do the same multiplication, China has a population of 200 times of Hong Kong. We have casualty, we have dead people from the COVID, exactly 10,000 lives, which means in China, they experience we have the same genes, right? And the whole China copy Hong Kong's way of living. You understand? Hong Kong, we were very advanced. We're a British colony. Our economy was the best in Asia. So they basically imitated the way we live, building houses, eating, exactly. So our way of life is no different. So we must use Hong Kong and extrapolate what's really happening in China, because they will never tell you. They will never tell you. This is so, they are so good in hiding or false accounting. So if we lost 1 million lives, times 200. No, if we lost 10,000 lives, times 200, means they have now lost 2 million lives.
Right, 2 million.
That's
correct.
how it is. If we have 7,000 cases a day, times 200 means they have 1.4 million a day. That is how bad it is. You know, your people are the best mathematicians in the world. So you need to extrapolate. Don't just hear this story and that story based on your own calculation. All right? We're so scientific. So can you imagine 1.4 million people a day, and using his method, you have to build quarantine buildings. They have these quarantine buildings with so many beds, lined up with beds, all right? Every day you need 1.4 million beds. How the hell can you make so many beds? Never mind the building and the toilet and the food and the 3 meals you have to supply. It's ridiculous. It doesn't work at all. So what they really did is during the 20th Congress, or the Communist plenary session, they basically closed off the whole Tibet. The whole Tibet, the Xinjiang, and the Inner Mongolia, they just don't want trouble. Just basically stop all the high-speed trains, not allowed to come, and then use maximum pressure to lock them down, basically to weld their doors. You know, this is, you have an apartment, your door is welded. You know, so you cannot go in and out. So you will have to depend on them bringing food to you. So China is pretty good. As you know, Alibaba, you can order food online, even material online. So they're pretty good. So Xinjiang has been locked down already for 3 months, over 100 days. So people are really fed up with it. And not only, they will. They either use cable or some wires, metal wires, and really, well, mind the door. They don't want you to go out, which is their way of control, which is even worse than slaves. So what really happened is there was a fire in Urumqi. Urumqi is the capital of Xinjiang. All right, it's about that's where the Uyghurs came from. All right,
Yeah.
In that province, half Uyghurs, half Chinese like us. All right. And the Chinese, of course, are the dominating power. They took away all the good jobs and the profitable business, mining, and the Uyghurs end up, farming, attending cattle and sheep and so on. You know, that's why the Uyghurs were so angry. They saw the Chinese robbing from them every day, from underground. You know, oil, mineral. They have the lot of best of everything. So, but anyway, that's another point. the point is there was a fire. Start on the 15th floor. The building was 21st floor. And they have welded this whole thing. The door cannot be opened. So they reported 10 deaths. In China, 10 deaths is not considered as very serious. So you can get away with it. But in fact, there are more than 44 people died from burning because the smoke gets up. So all the floors above the 15 floors get smoked. And for 3 hours, what happened was because of the lockdown, all the cars are parked around the building. So the fire engine cannot get close to the building to really lift up these the ladders to
Water hose,
to put off the fire. So it took them 3.5 hours to put out the fire. Of course, by then everybody above that building is dead, and all the corridor, everything blocked. So they have this is the way the Chinese government is. They are, since it's not a democracy, they only listen to their boss or their high up order them what to do. They never feel they are responsible to the people because they were not elected. So the people in the buildings these are people, right? So they don't care. They can treat you like animal. There's nothing you can do because you don't have a right to vote. You have no vote. So all they have to do is they do a good job so that their senior would commend them that you've done a good job. Nothing spread. The virus didn't spread very seriously. So you get a promotion. This is how the communist system works. I'm sure in your country, a big part of the bureaucracy works the same way, or the bureaucrats, because they're not elected. So all they care is to be promoted by their boss. So this is exactly how this whole system works. And the worst on Xi Jinping, every time something happened, he blamed it on the lower level. All right, he blamed it on the level. So everybody learned this blaming game. All right, of course, we know your country and our country, all the bureaucrats are very, very good in blaming and shifting responsibility. So everybody is very good at that. So really what happened, 40-some people died. And before they died, they were texting. All right. And we're crying. Now, of course, they're crying, say, oh, we're lucky. And there were about 4 or 5 children, Uyghurs children also died. So it's a really very sad situation. So finally, that evening, I think it's the 25th. Today is the 20th. The 25th was the day of the fire. So then the people got really angry because they were all locked down for no reason at all. And Xinjiang is not that serious. It's very scarcely populated. So it's not serious at all. So they actually went to the city hall, where the city government is, and demand an end to this lockdown, the total lockdown and zero tolerance. So, and the whole city actually came up and went to. So this fire or the tragedy has really woke up the people of Urumqi, and this news spread all over China. And the next day, everybody start mourning. Remember when like Princess Diana died? You remember people went and gave flowers and then little candles. Same thing.
Right.
So it happened exactly same in all over China, because finally people understand what's happening in Xinjiang or Urumqi can happen to them.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. So there are roughly now, there's almost 100 universities already signed up, protest. So this is happening, this is protest. All the universities start protesting. End this lockdown. And in Shanghai, it's getting more serious because Shanghai people are more westernized, like you and me, all right? That's why I was born, all right? Sorry, not trying to. But are more open to Western ideas. So they understand it's not just a matter of COVID or anything. It's communism. It's Xi Jinping and communism. So in Shanghai, exactly on the street where I used to live when I was from 1-year-old to 6-year-old, it's called the Urumqi Street. All right.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I lived for 6 years there. I went to Hong Kong when I was 7 years old. So I lived there. They have because they have the same name, Urumqi Street, and then the tragedy happened in Urumqi. So they commemorate, just young kids. Basically, these are real Shanghainese. This is a very old neighborhood. Used to be the French concession. That's where I was.
A very upscale place. Yeah.
Yeah, upscale place. French. The street used to have a French name, Avenue de something. The French name. But anyway, they gathered, and then they started this. In Chinese, it's called the White Paper Revolution. All right. It's really an A4, 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 right?
Yeah, I know A4 size.
For size, a letter size. So everybody, instead of writing anything on it, which you can be charged, they would take a picture of you, they get charged. It's a white paper protest. So you imagine whatever. It's very, 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 very
creative,
really creative.
Yeah.
So everybody hold up a white piece of paper, A4, and saying they protest. And then it gets very heated. So finally, they say, down with Xi Jinping and down with the CCP, Chinese Communist Party. Now, this is no longer a matter of suffering or health problem or quarantine problem. It becomes a political problem, right? There is no turning backwards. Once you go on that road, meaning that they want to overthrow the Communist Party, basically overthrow the government, right? And Shanghai people understood that the basic evil of all this is the Chinese Communist Party. So this is not only happening in Shanghai. Right now, I would say last night, it's been going on for 2 nights. All the universities all over China, the well-known ones or not so well-known ones, all the same. So it's no difference. Morning, and then about more than half of them has been chanting to do away with the CCP and Xi Jinping. Now, this is very, very serious. All the foreign reporters never expected that to happen because most Chinese are very quiet. They suffer. Most people suffer at least 3 months of lockdown at home. So they would be quiet, they be tolerating, and they believe in this thing, this solution. They think locking down, and then it seems to work. But the problem is the football. The World Cup football. They start watching the football on TV. How come nobody wears masks? So they suddenly realize they've been fooled. I mean, the whole country, whole nation understand now how come nobody wears masks and we are here covering this and covering that and the testing every day 2-3 times a day and this nonsense. They suddenly realize they've been lied to. This is nothing serious at all. And this for the last 3-4 months, Shanghai almost more than that, almost 6 months in Shanghai, they've been fooled into really very, very careful, cooperate with the Chinese government. So can you imagine, suddenly you realize what you have suffered in the last 6 months was really, it was a lie, was a total lie. And the best thing was the World Cup. So that was the biggest wake-up call. How come nobody wears masks? They were embracing each other and so on. It was a wonderful time. So now, finally, people came to the street. And you have roughly about 100 such hotspots over China. The difference between Tiananmen was what happened was the students then, university students, Beijing University and so on, they wanted the government to have a government reform, meaning a political reform, like democracy, all right? They were the 4 modernization at that time, Deng Xiaoping claimed. There was the military modernization, and then there was the industrial modernization, maybe agricultural modernization, information, so on. But the student at the Tiananmen wanted political reform. And that's why they went to the Tiananmen Square and demonstrated. And basically, they said they would live with communism as long as you reform. That was their premises for the strike or for the demonstration in Tiananmen Square. They just want they don't mind the communist government, but they say you must reform. All right, this is what they want. But today, the tune has changed. No more Xi Jinping and no more communism. Finally, the Chinese kids, young people woke up. They understand the root of all the evil is this communism. Communism will never tolerate any other opinion or democracy or anybody's opinion. They suddenly realize now, of course, in the last couple of years, the economy start tanking. So they realize it's very hard for the university students to get a job. India, of course, India is taking away lots of their jobs, which is fine, fine with me. They need to hit the bottom before they wake up. So anyway, they suddenly realize they have problem getting a job, and then this COVID, and then the property price gone down, everything goes bad. Hong Kong, they took Hong Kong, and suddenly they start understanding, and they understand they need to do away with communism once and for all. So it's going to, and this is not going to end. From what we understand, even they arrest a few here and there, all right? But this is the local police are not that aggressive. They have something called the militarized police, right? And this is controlled by Xi Jinping. There are roughly about a few 100,000 of them. And can you imagine you spread them out in 100 locations? So it cannot be very effective. They all wear white, and then in fact they have guns with them. So this is the we call the military police. These are the people Xi Jinping sent out and to basically to control the situation. The local police are not that enthusiastic because basically they are relatives with the people in the city. So where should they can do something for show, but they are not so aggressive. It's like Hong Kong in 2019. They actually sent over 500 of such military police who beat the hell out of the Hong Kong kids, all right, and do all kinds of things, raping, and then we have hundreds, even thousands of Hong Kong kids disappear, and we can never find out where they are, basically disappeared. So anyway, these guys are very tough, all right. They were trained to combat the Tibetans, the Uyghurs and the Tibetans and so on. They are the trained. So anyway, but they are spreading very, very thin. So in a way, they cannot stop it altogether. It's not so easy. Like Tiananmen. Tiananmen is like one big square. Tiananmen is a huge square. You can send tank in, you can send military in, and very easy to clean the place. But now there are 100 little Tiananmens mostly in the universities, and you cannot send in your army or your tanks so easily. So I believe that this thing will go on and need to go on for a while. And but one thing is in our favor is Xi Jinping, you remember, removed Wu Jintao from the right. Closing ceremony. So he has enemies. His enemy are all the Communist Party members. Wu Jintao is the headmaster of the party university. All right. So all the best cadet need to go from time to time to get their brainwash or training, they call. All right. So he is the headmaster. Now you remove the headmaster. So you made an enemy of 94 million Communist Party members. So these guys are not going to be cooperating with you, with Xi Jinping. So therefore, there are two forces. Not only that, they may be putting oil on the fire. They may be encouraging the student or standing behind the student to protest, like what they're doing now, last night or probably tonight. So they may be behind it. So the situation is not so clear. It's not one-sided. So within the Communist Party, Xi Jinping's people just gain the position in standing committee or Politburo and so on and so forth. They have not really. The actual transfer of power, the government transfer of power is next March. So they're still, the Li Keqiang are still in charge, all right? The government and all the government departments, the ministries and so on, still run by Li Keqiang's group. And not until March, they don't have to hand over. And which means between now and March, so many things can happen. And by then, there will be finally, next March, there will be two very important meetings. One is the Chinese Congress, meaning the parliament. Chinese parliament will meet. And China, since they don't have any opposition party, they have something called the CPPCC, Chinese People's Political Consultative Committee, which means they consult, which means it's all of them. But these are the so-called the elite of China. They will meet next March in Beijing. It's called the two meetings. One is the parliament and one is the consultative. So they will meet. By then, the build-up of anger. I mean, right now, the government officials or the party members are not getting any corruption money. All right, so they're making money, and in the meantime, they have to face all that problem because the anger is directed at them by all the citizens. So they will be very angry. I have much doubt Xi Jinping will last until then. All right. So at least good news is India is safe, Taiwan is safe. They don't have the energy to do anything. I mean, this student thing is so serious. They just have to take care of that. And I don't know how they take care of it. There will be a lot of internal because they have enemy who is really playing with them behind the scene. So anyway, the story is they are no threat to the world for the time being. I don't think so because Xi Jinping is very unstable. His political standing is very, very unstable. So this is what's happening in mainland China. And my job is not China. My job is Hong Kong. So I'm figuring what to do tonight and talk to my people. I'm in Japan now to talk to our people in Hong Kong and see what we can do to help to overthrow the Chinese Communist Party in Hong Kong. All right. And while they are being weak, people have doubts whether they should really continue to support Xi Jinping. So there may be rooms in Hong Kong for us to do something. As you know, in Hong Kong, we had a very famous newspaper called Apple Daily. And the boss, owner of that, has been arrested, or already been detained. Been detained. Is a good friend of mine for 2 years without a trial. And the trial is coming up, I think, next week or this week. Coming up. So I'm trying to organize something, a huge demonstration at the trial. All right. Hopefully it's big enough really to create a big thing. Now they are on the defensive. We are on the offensive. We, the people, are on the offensive. So this is how big a change in the last matter of 1 week. All right. You are getting the freshest news ever. So I mean, if they owe you some land, you better take it now while they're in trouble.
Well, we can all hope for the best, and best of luck to you for the Hong Kong can show the way to the rest of the people in China how democracy is run. I mean, we have to start thinking that also. If you have to usher in a democracy, what are the how do you do it? First by getting it back on even keel in Hong Kong, and then showing that, okay, this is how you do it, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much, Elmer, and wish you all the best. Stay safe. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me.